we tend not to want to become aware unless more or less we are in discomfort, that something is not working. We are getting fired over and over. We keep going into the same bad relationships. We are doing things that are becoming obvious that are not working. And then we start asking questions. And that's when we start on the road of awareness. Part of the reason awareness cannot easily be translated into action is because we leave it at the cognitive level. Actually, we have to embrace the sensations and emotions that come up with the reflections, which is why it's so hard to do it alone. Because
hello, Marianne. Good morning.
Hello, Yair. Good to see you.
Great to see you. I'm honored to have you here on the show. Thank you very much for your time. I know you have a lot on your plate, so I really appreciate your time. And that is why we'll dive into a topic that, I think it's so important, and I'll explain in a really simple way why. Because we all talk about awareness today and how awareness is important and being aware of something and all. Like, awareness is probably one of the main keywords in Google. But being aware of something is one thing. Actually taking the action to do a change in life is a whole different thing. And you work with so many people, and I know from firsthand that you help many people really change their life. You also spend as a doctor also with women, but not only women, with so many people, you really help them change their life. And when you change your life, that means you take action. You don't only just stay aware. So I would love to hear from you first, maybe before the taking action part. First, getting aware, because I do think being aware of something is important. How are we aware when there's a certain situation that requires our awareness, a certain problem or a certain challenge? How do we get aware of it? And then we'll talk about the other part.
Great. So the most, again, this is all just from my observing, people that I deal with. It might be other stuff out there. This is purely from my personal clinical experience, and I feel comfortable going there because my role model in understanding human behavior is Carl Jung. I don't know if you know who he is, but he was at the turn of the century first affiliated with Freud, and then he separated out from Freud because he had a different way of understanding human behavior. He felt Freud was too reductionistic, that everything was the Oedipal complex, and he felt it was much more, basically broad and deep how we act in the world. So he has some very a deep way of understanding human behavior. And one of the things that I liked about him is that he would say, and gives me freedom. There were two things that really, besides loving everything he has to say, but two things that gave me freedom to be who I am in my interaction with people. The first thing is you cannot help everybody. This is a man who was world-renowned. And when he wrote his autobiography before his death at the age of 86, he said, I was able to help a third of the people. I was able to help more or less another third, and I wasn't able to help at all another third. So as somebody who does healing, whether it's in the allopathic or alternative ways, to know that they're going to be a third of the people I won't be able to help, not to take it personally that there's something wrong in my methodology or understanding, but just to say some people are either not ready, and this is again coming back from awareness to action, just people are ready to be aware but not to do the action. And the other reason is some people are so what we call protected in their system, so afraid of action, that they would rather keep repeating the same self-defeating process than to make the awareness into an action. So that was very liberating, that basically, no matter how smart I might sound or know or try to help them, it's just not going to help, and it's okay. People will wake up when they are ready.
Yeah, nice. I really like that. It's also humbling.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And the second thing that he said was, well, he has so many things, so I'm going to just keep spouting forth some. And the second thing is that awareness is what you can do in therapy. That's your first step. And why do you become aware, as you ask? Because life forces you, pushes you against the wall in pain, and you start asking questions. The most common time to ask the questions, to want to become aware, is midlife. And he said midlife anywhere from 35 on to 55 or 65. So we tend not to want to become aware unless more or less we are in discomfort, that something is not working. We are getting fired over and over. We keep going into the same bad relationships. We are doing things that are becoming obvious that are not working. And then we start asking questions. And that's when we start on the road of awareness.
Wow. I really connect to what you said. Well, I don't think there's anyone in life that doesn't have those challenges along their path. So from what you're saying, awareness is something that will come at this point or that point along the path. And it would happen to everyone. And I think it's beautiful when people actually do the work, whether it's because they want to do it or because they have to do it. And also then they want to do it. So I think a lot of times in general, as human beings, we only do something when we get pushed against the wall. I was just talking with a friend and also myself, but I was talking with him. He has some serious pain. And so I was trying to give him some exercises to help reduce the pain, his back pain. And he's like, no, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. You know what? I don't want to do the exercise. I don't listen, my dear friend. Otherwise, either your back will force you to do it in a month or two because you won't be able to move, or maybe try to do it now. But over there he has to do that. Eventually, he'll have to take that action because otherwise he won't be able to get out of bed. But there are many things in life that we know we need to do them. So we got to that awareness, We know we need to do A, B, C, D. But sometimes that knowing just stays is something we know, but we don't actually do it. Or we start and then we stop.
So, again, and this is gonna, not where I want to ultimately go, but being a person of faith, I will have to introduce this topic, but he basically felt that when we come into patterns that we find is not working anymore, that doesn't necessarily will get us where we need to go. So the first thing is to get a therapist of some kind to help you with that awareness. What is the awareness, the meaning of that awareness? Because it's very hard to do it alone. So the self-help industry has $1 billion worth of books it publishes, how to whatever. And we think that's going to be enough. Oh, now I'm aware I do this pattern and that's enough. Actually, it's not. What needs to be uncovered is where do those patterns come from? And that's the job of psychology. However, the action part is our job. Psychology cannot do action. So when we become aware enough and we say, okay, the definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over and expecting a different outcome. So once we realize that we need to understand more deeply what is driving our behavior so we can heal it, then we have to do the avoda. We have to do every day implementing the awareness into action.
Oh, it's something that I'm sure many people theoretically think they know that they need to do it, because like you said, we do that awareness whether it's with a therapist or like a different type of therapist. But what I want to know is how do you actually do that? Because I'm saying there are people that are aware for something for many years and they don't actually take the action steps. So how do we do that, and how do we persist? We spoke off camera before about technology, that we need to persist and be patient. So if we want to learn it, so how do we do the same thing over here when we are aware of something? How are we actually moving to that action phase, number one, and then also being persistent with it?
So the first question to keep asking, what's keeping me from doing the action? And I'll simply tell you, you really don't want to do it. That's why. So for that, what has helped me a great deal personally and with my clients is the internal family systems model, which is based on and it's consistent with the Jungian concept, not necessarily with modern psychology, which is cognitive behavioral model, which means all it is you, and this is what you think is you, and what you do is you. In this model, it embraces the concept of multiplicity of mind. And Jung called it complexes, that we develop complexes as we grow into the world, or in the internal family model, you would call them parts that are there to help us navigate the world. And they come into being when we don't have a guidance system. We don't understand it. And we come to some beliefs and conclusions how to navigate the world that's so big and frightening as we are children, and how to protect ourselves. So most of our behaviors that are not positive are protective behaviors of our younger energetic system that couldn't find answers and came up with his own answers and conclusions and beliefs, which in the internal family models ends up being burdens. We carry those beliefs as a burden to our system. And the system is what? The system is the soul, or what they call the self that we are born with, that's whole and perfect. And what happens to it, it gets smudged by our protective or ego need to survive. And the journey is to understand that those ego needs to survive our protective systems and embrace them with kindness. Oh, I yelled at my wife. I really didn't want to. Awareness. I yelled at my wife instead of saying she was the one that caused me the problem. The second thing is, oh, I yelled at her. What was triggered in me that made me yell at her? So that's awareness. And then the action, and that comes through the therapy. You realize that you were triggered, and it's usually some kind of an early protective way against maybe a parent who questioned you, who yelled at you, who not knowingly and not willfully, just because life is that way. It happens. You know, you come home from school with your A report card, show it to your parent, and they're busy on the phone trying to manage work or manage other siblings. And you think it has to do that you're just not enough. And then you try for A+. And then you become this pleaser and this person that becomes a caretaker. So once you realize that it's you, like every time you want to point a finger there, you start seeing the three fingers pointing back at you, then that awareness can slowly get into healing and into action. Oh, I yelled at my wife. I got triggered. What was the trigger? My mom used to yell or question me the same way she did. It's my work to heal that. It has nothing to do with her thinking that I'm inadequate. And that has to be done on a daily basis, affirming that you're not inadequate, affirming that you're whole and perfect, and that your behavior that shows up imperfectly, it was created by your beingness to protect you. So if you have that model, it's easier to put awareness into action.
I understand that. I think there's a book, I forgot the name of Dr. Schwartz, right? No Bad Parts.
Yeah, there are no bad parts. Yeah, I really highly recommend it. Yeah.
Yeah, I listened to some of it, and based on what you're saying, it sounds like someone like you have to do it with someone, because I think getting alone to that, understanding what was that time in life that our mind, our soul kind of brought that reaction and to protect us, but now it's time in life to change that meaning. I don't know, getting there alone sounds almost impossible. It sounds like we need some type of direction from outside.
100%, but it's not permanent. That's the beauty of it, that it's a self-healing model ultimately. So once you get the steps you need to take, you can, what, and it's very somatic, which is very helpful, because you cannot, part of the reason awareness cannot easily be translated into action is because we leave it at the cognitive level. Actually, we have to embrace the sensations and emotions that come up with the reflections, which is why it's so hard to do it alone, because we need somebody who is there to support us, that you are okay. Because it's very hard when we don't have, and the word is critical mass of self-awareness, critical mass of self-energy. It's very hard to do this work. But over time, you get a critical mass of self-energy, and then you can say, oh, okay, I get it. I yelled at my kids because something in me got triggered, that somehow the way they behave, I'm going to look like I'm a bad parent and bring everything home. And the word is U-turn. Everything where you are roiled in some ways, do a U-turn and see what got triggered in you. Every time you decide on something and you don't do a U-turn. What blocked me from doing it? Which part was afraid of taking an action step? And the most comments are exposure to failure. Oh, if I do this, I'm exposing myself for possible failure. And the part says, no, we are not taking that chance. We're going to keep you do what? Procrastinate, which is a very common way of avoiding action.
Because an experience from the past that we failed, so now it's telling us to procrastinate.
Hi, I hope this video is serving you. I just want to share with you that my belief in life is that you are here to serve a purpose greater than yourself. But in order to do that the best way, you must start with investing in yourself. Enjoy the rest of the video.
It sounds like, so many times it's, from what you're saying, it's things that are like in the subconscious. So like, if we'll just
all of it, all our quote unquote negative behaviors, and sometimes we can overcompensate with positive behaviors, and I'm going to elucidate on that, are really a protective system. We call the actually, what we call in the unconscious is the exile. We exile those feelings that are too painful to bear. The abandonment sense, the aloneness, the worthlessness, the shame. We have to push that away because it's too painful for the ego to experience that. So what happens is that we then create a whole set of protection for the exile, behaviors that make sure that you never, ever, and that is the word that part uses, experience shame again. We'd rather not have you go out there and be the creative artist your soul is pushing you to be, because your ego has the memory and the fear of failure.
That sounds like a lot of work. It sounds like a lot of work, and I think anything worthwhile in life that we want to actually appreciate has work in it. And what I want to understand from what you're saying is that, like, does someone, when, let's say, we change that meaning to whatever it is that that prevented us from moving forward. So back in our childhood, so we decided a certain decision based on something, and now we're coming back and we're changing kind of the picture, we're reframing it. Do people, and I think it's not only the reframing, I'm going back to actually that there's someone, like, in order to take action, reframing is maybe step number one, but number two is actually someone holding you accountable and hoping you go through, and that's a therapist. But is there a way that you could say, okay, well, this is only good for people to know how to go into imagination and all that? Because I'm sure some people are telling themselves right now, well, I hardly remember what's going, like, back in what went back in my days. How am I supposed to remember what happened 20 years ago, 30, 50, I don't know, maybe even sometimes 60 years ago? Like, some people will say, I have no clue how to visualize and all, like, or imagine. Like, how do you actually go back there? Is that something that is only for some people, or like, how do you actually do it?
That's a very good question. The way to look at it is, actually, there's a book written by a Harvard psychiatrist, a neuroscientist, called "The Body Keeps the Score." The mind forgets, but the body doesn't. All our memories are stored in our cellular memory. And when given a chance to connect through our body, we actually come up with the memories that are absolutely surprising. So it doesn't have, it's just what it requires, which is the difficult part, is courage. And Jung said you need moral, and that's the action. You need a moral fortitude. You have to have a belief system that will not give you the option to back out. And for me, it's our Jewish belief system. If we want to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we cannot do it just from the ego perspective. The davening is wonderful, but it will not get us to that soul vibrational connection that comes when we know ourselves. And the compelling reason to do this is self-love. If we don't love ourselves, how can we have a loving relationship to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? So for me, this is a spiritual journey. And helping people is a spiritual journey to awaken to our soul's presence, because the soul is there whether we are aware of it or not, and it's going to do what it needs to do. But it's so much more rewarding when we have a dialogue with it, when we co-create with it and say, oh, okay, I get what you're trying to say. I'm being not aligned with what my knowing is. So what can I do? And it'll guide you. We came here, the question, I always ask of people, do you think you are a human being on a spiritual journey or a spiritual being on a human journey? Because if you are a spiritual being on a human journey, then you have to put the ego part that is so fragile and so in need to think that it is God in its right perspective and place, and allow the shining forth of our innate impulse towards wholeness. So actually, we spend a lot of time blocking that. If we had that energy available for what we came here to do, and we all came here like our, fingerprint with our unique individual way of expressing HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world, and take that job seriously, I don't think that anybody should not want to be in therapy to make that happen.
Yeah, I understand that. And whoever doesn't understand those words, that means basically God. And I think it's for any person of faith, we're Jewish, but it doesn't matter, I think, what type of faith. I think that, having faith it helps to get through so much. I forgot who said that it's like drugs. Like, it helps to get through so much, not only get through the challenge, but also see all the beauty, because we're connected to a purpose that is much greater than ourselves. Yes. And I think that's really beautiful. This whole channel speaks about investing in ourselves, but not because we're the main, like we're not in the middle of the picture. We're investing in ourselves. That way we could see the beauty that is in ourselves, and then serve a purpose that is greater than ourselves. So I really connect to that. I think also Wayne Dyer says, has that saying that we're a spiritual being having a human experience. He mentions that. And what I wanted to understand,
but it's important. This is where some of these self-help books for me can be dangerous, because it engenders a lot of shame. Well, I just read that. How come I'm not getting that? Because it's not just getting it here, it's truly translating into a personalized somatic experience of what it is to be a spiritual being. You cannot just get it and then you keep reading the next book. Oh, that makes a lot of sense, and it still doesn't translate. So what happens over time, how come I'm reading all of this and I'm aware of all of this and I'm not doing it? Must be something wrong with me. I'm just not getting something. And it's not that. That is just the very first step in an indirect way to get to know yourself. But it's indirect because it's based on somebody else's journey. So you cannot copy and paste somebody's awakening to your awakening.
For sure.
And like they say, you can teach information, but you cannot teach wisdom. Wisdom is something that we gain through our own life experience that we courageously and confidently and with curiosity take on, to say, wow, who is this me? I'd like to know better so I can be more fully self-expressed. That takes tremendous amount of self-love to say, you know, I'm worth investing in myself, to know who I am and what are the patterns in my life that are not working, and do something about it.
Yeah. I'm trying to understand, like, I'm still having like a part that doesn't really connect to me. Like, I do think that all the self-help books, everything is great, and from each person we can learn something. My grandmother always tells me, you know, from everyone you learn. From some you learn what to do, and from some you learn what not to do. And I think that the therapist is the kind of the connection that also helps us to actually connect to what is individual for us, what's unique for us. What I'm trying to understand is what happens, because some people already don't want to, or it's too expensive for them. I don't know what, but to go to therapy all life. So after we do that,
It's not the whole life. Why, I didn't say the whole life.
That's what I'm asking. How do we keep on taking action after we do that reframing? And now, okay, so I understand that we gave it a different meaning to that, whatever happened in the childhood. And so, for example, you'll be accountable at the beginning, but how do we keep on moving forward? Do we still does moving forward mean having always someone hold us accountable, a therapist or something like that?
No, not at all. I don't believe in accountability. Accountability externally is meaningless. If you are a coach, you should know that. There's a part of them that shows up that wants change, and another part that totally blocks it, because it's not about accountability. It's about really self-love. And how do I get to that place? Because if you honor yourself, you will never do things that would be not to your ultimate benefit. But I mentioned to you, the awareness is that when you get triggered, and you know that somatically, to hold yourself accountable, to understand what is it that got triggered in you, and then calm that part of you that felt threatened, and saying, there's nothing threatening here. I am here as a human being that's whole and loving, and I need not bring in parts that are so afraid and frightened that just got triggered.
Okay, so if we got to that like I'm still struck that. So when we get to the self-love phase, you think that would be enough in order for us to keep on doing whatever it is that we need to do in life?
Yeah, is this, the kind of, is this behavior bringing me closer to Hashem or further from Hashem? It would be very simple. Is yelling at my wife, storming out of a meeting, is this bringing me closer to my relationship to Hashem or further? I mean, that would be just a very simple test. And the other part is, what is it in me that's reluctant to take the next step? Bring it home. Oh, I'm afraid that change I'll have to do. I'm afraid of the work that I'll have to do. I'm afraid of all the implications in my life that will have to take place. Yeah, all of that. But that's all ego. It's like I recently, as you know, made Aliyah with my husband, and people keep asking, and how are you doing? I said, my ego is suffering, kicking and screaming, because it's not aligned in the way it understands the world or would like to understand the world. And my soul is dancing, being in Israel, being in the Holy Land, going to the Kotel. So to have that awareness that when you are bent out of shape, that's not the whole of you. Honor it. I'm bent out of shape. What is being bent out of shape? Bring it home. And with increasing self-awareness, oh, you're scared. What are you scared of? What are you scared of? And it's probably 90% of our response in the world is out of fear. That famous saying, you want to be in fear or in love. Those are the two options. I think it's simplified, but if you do work, you realize it's really the child that didn't have the appropriate support that it needed in its own understanding of the world that started to take care of himself or herself, and came to the conclusion it's a scary world. I better figure out. And that scary world doesn't leave until you feel you have been adequately healed from those beliefs, because now you have the resources. You see, that's what it is. In those years, we didn't have the resources to take care of ourselves when the external environment didn't support us, but now we do. And the way we do is we remember or reflect, look how far you have come. Look how much you have accomplished. You're not that, helpless, scared little child that had no support. You can trust me, the adult who has accomplished so much, to help you along and let go of those fearful beliefs. And it's a process. It's not overnight. It's cultivating the relationship, and that's part of the avoda. The first part of the avoda is to be aware in the moment. And the second part is to continue to be aware. It's not one, oh, I got this. No. It's continually bringing it home.
Beautiful. Beautiful said, and I also connect. And also interesting, it's a kind of connection, also interesting thoughts about what you said about that accountability part. Because, if we just have someone holding us accountable, which is like a big word today. And I do believe in accountability, but maybe it's phase number 2, like after we do that inner work. Because if there's no inner work inside, so
yeah. But then you'll find then you won't need the accountability, because you yourself would not want to do anything that would undermine the decision you made that came from a more balanced, clear place.
Right.
You would not let the fear undermine that. That's why you ultimately don't need somebody to keep you accountable, which, I think we, chatted about this before. I came to this through coaching. I thought that coaching was the cat's meow until I found out that people were not doing what they were supposed to do. They would show up and after a while drop off. And right. I needed to know why. Why can't, when people come so enthused and so interested and so miserable and all of that, and I said, okay, I'll help you. I'll keep you accountable. They'd rather not show up than listen to your reprimanding them, because it works for a while. It's the child that needs reprimanding when they have to be held accountable, because they should be able to be accountable on their own.
Yeah. I think that that accountability kind of shifts. So maybe the beginning will be someone holding us accountable, but then there is accountability, but it's not, that's how I see it. It's not from someone from the outside. You help them go in that inner work. And what's holding us accountable is a purpose that is greater than ourselves. It's God. It's the mission that we think that our soul is here to do. And that it's not anyone else. It has to do with within us. It's our purpose to be here. And that's what is holding us accountable. But sometimes we need that person to hold us accountable, to go to therapy and to start that process, or in the therapy and things like that. You have much more experience than me. So I really love how you connected those two dots. It's really beautiful. And I want to ask you a question. How can people reach you? Because I know, that you do beautiful work, and you really help people, find that inner beauty in them, that would afterwards help them, be accountable and see the beauty that's in themselves. So is there a way that people can reach you?
Yes and no. I'm fully booked at the moment. And also I'm a little bit picky. I only take people who are like 35 and over, even though there's a lot of enthusiasm from younger people wanting like careers and other things. And maybe for that, quote unquote, accountability might work better. I don't know. But I have found that people don't ask life affirming and informing questions until they come to a certain age. And this comes from my Jungian beliefs, that we have stages in life. And it's very hard to inform somebody who's at a different stage of something else. So his view is that when we are in 20s, we are in what he called the athlete phase, where we are much more concerned how we show up for the world, what the world wants from us, especially in terms of looks. And you can get stuck there. And Hollywood is a perfect example how you can get stuck in the athlete phase, where it's all about appearances. The next stage is the stage of the hero, where you settle in life, you get married, you find a home, you have a job, and it's basically age appropriate. So to have people come and do soul searching at that age is not totally appropriate. They need to first express themselves that way. But when you find that at 45 you are stuck, that means, like people on Wall Street, you cannot get over that hero's part. And the next stage is what he calls is the statement, when you have accomplished all that you wanted to accomplish, and now you want to give back. And the final phase is the phase of the mystic, where you realize that life is a journey, and who you are, in essence, is what needs to be cultivated. And you cannot, quote unquote, in your mystic phase, talk to somebody who's in their athlete phase. Oh, you need to be more spiritual. Oh, you really need to, read more. No. They should be doing what they are doing. So this kind of work, and that's why I said he only took people on midlife, this kind of inquiry is when you have accomplished certain things and you are ready to inquire more, what is my purpose? Or what are the things that are self-defeating that I keep doing?
Understand that. It's beautiful. And I guess people could just listen to what you said over here. But if they do want to learn some of the things that you mentioned, I know that you're booked. Is there a book you recommend? Is there something specific that I could?
Yeah, the book that I recommend is what you had. It's a little bit dense because originally was meant for therapists. So you have to have deep interest in, as I call, psychobabble to really go along, such stuff. The other one, if you're in midlife and again interested, curious about psychology, because it's also dense and you have to persist, is James Hollis's Hollis book called From Misery to Meaning, the Middle Passage. Actually, it's called Middle Passage from Misery to Meaning, explaining a little bit of what I just explained about all that come to our awareness when we feel that we have been defeated and how to climb out of it. But both are, you need a lot of patience, but those are healing books for me, as opposed to somebody else's personal experience of how they smartened up and this is what you need to do. Hallelujah. I'm glad it helped you. Thank you for sharing and inspiring us that if I figure it out, I can do it too.
Amazing. So really, really beautiful. And I'll just end with one last question. And I wonder your answer for that. I believe that in life, there are many things we could do and invest in ourselves in order to see that beauty that is in ourselves. But what do you think is the main investment that a person needs to do? That way they'll be able to see more of the beauty that is in them.
For me, it's just being in communication with your soul. It will guide you. And I'm not even going to bring in a totally unrelated attitude that as I age, I'm carrying, that it's kind of has been, I'm going to say it very quickly and then forget about it, has been predetermined. Your soul knows exactly what you need to do. So all you have to do is listen without, and probably get there with daily meditation and ask the questions. What is it that how can I express my highest call today? What is it that I need to do? And then the rest will fall in place.
Wow, said really beautiful. Marianne, I really appreciate your time. You gave your great value. And I think, I'm a big believer that, sometimes people can hear something like this and say, okay, let's do A, B, C, D and take all these different steps. Personally, I believe, wait, stop, focus on one thing that you learned, I learned from the conversation, and do that. And then the second and then the third. Otherwise, when you take too much at one time, usually nothing gets done, or it gets done, but just for a little while. So, and
by the way, the gift of COVID is that you can do therapy online. So if anybody's interested in this modality called IFS therapy, they can reach out to you and I will give you a website where you can locate an IFS therapist. The problem is they charge American, dollars, and
Okay.
also, yeah, it's not Kupat Halim prices. So
It's
you
all
have to
good.
be, yeah, but you need to be aware. But if for some reason, life gifted you with some income that allows you to spend it freely, I invite
For
you
sure.
to consider IFS therapy or internal family system therapy as a way to get you to your healing place.
For sure. So maybe later you'll send me the link. I'll put the link below, whoever wants. People watch it from all over the world. So whoever has
Okay.
that option, for sure, they could click and go and get some great healing and see the gift that is in them. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate you and all the
My
value
pleasure. Thank you for
that brought,
inviting me.
for sure. And we will be in touch.
Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed the video and you got some tools to overcome your challenges and light your path. For us to help other people, please press that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget that the most amazing things in life are the one you take for granted.